Welcome to the Pink Sphere podcast. This is your 30 minutes of pink, your weekly space to pause, breathe, and tune into something that might just change the way you move through the world. Today, we're with Kathie, and she's a business coach who helps women stop spinning and start making smart moves. If you're running a business and wondering why things still feel stuck, this one's for you. Hi, Kathie. I'm so happy you're here with us.
Thank you for inviting me on. It's really nice to be here. Nice to speak to you again, Nadin.
Thank you. And I'm just going to jump
Go for
in,
it.
okay, with this question. Why do some businesses still struggle even when the founder is doing everything right?
So this is a really interesting one because I tackle this very much not only from a business coaching perspective, but from a behavioral perspective as well. Because sometimes your business is successful, but your mind is telling you that something's going on. Why aren't I achieving results straight away? Why haven't I got a result today or made a sale today? Where you might have been doing everything consistently for quite a considerable amount of time, but you've not quite got there yet. So one thing I would say in terms of if you're doing everything you can, the option is to remain consistent. Remain consistent and things will happen for you. Things don't happen overnight. If you look at all the big successful businesses like Apple or Google, these are people that started in their garages and they took years to get to where they are. So start thinking about your mindset and where you are. Have you been consistent in what you do every day?
And other than consistency, what are the biggest roadblocks to lasting success?
I think it's being honest with yourself. One thing that I normally do as soon as I start working with people is I ask them to do what's called a SWOT analysis, is to look at their own personal strengths, their weaknesses, and what opportunities and threats come out of that. So, for instance, if in my own business, if I look at where my strengths lie, which is in talking to people, communicating, imparting knowledge, doing training and development, but I might be rubbish at marketing. But if I try to focus my energy on doing the thing over here, which is the marketing, it's just the promotion, it's the social media, I'm not using my strengths. So it's identifying the things that I'm good at and sticking to my core strengths, but also recognizing that I can't do everything and that my weaknesses might be in some really specific areas, but it's recognizing that I need help over here. My efforts are best spent on my strengths, and I'm covering things that I'm not good at and going, somebody else can help me with that. But it's actually then getting over the self-esteem thing, which is I'm a business owner. I should be able to do all of this stuff myself, or perhaps I can't afford to outsource that to somebody else. That's another one. But until you ask, until you identify what that is, and do I know anybody that would be happy to help me do that thing? I mean, this is one of the first conversations that we had, wasn't it? Like 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
The ability to kind of go, I'm not good at that, but I can ask some people who's happy to, give me some of their time or just to show me how to do the thing. And most people, especially with your friends and family or your close circle, are more than happy to help you and want you to be a success.
Yeah. And actually, that was one of the main reasons I founded the Pink Sphere, having that right person to help you in the moment that you need. And what was the reason you joined the Pink Sphere?
Do you know what? I was curious. This is always a great personality trait to have. I'm always a curious person. I always want to know, what sits in the background of like your journey. And honestly, I think when we spoke, crikey, it felt like ages ago, September, October last year. I saw your passion and your determination and your drive to success. And not only that, is that you wanted to bring everybody else along with you. That's your empathic, lovable side to your personality, that you were on a personal journey to be successful. But rather than kind of going, it's mine, I want it all for myself, you wanted to take everybody on that journey with you. So that was an absolute no-brainer for me to kind of go, why wouldn't I help you? Why would I, I want to be part of that journey too. It's exciting and I want to help you. So that's going back to your previous question. That's why you ask for help, because 9 times out of 10, people want to help you succeed.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Pink Sphere, Kathie. And I also want to ask you that. So, if a woman who's listening to us today wants to book a session with you, she sees you on the Pink Sphere website, how do you help her? what are the steps that you cover together?
It goes from anything. So it's just a basic conversation. So
Yeah,
how I
basically.
normally do that is by listening. I'm listening to what your pain points are. Most of the time, you don't know what your blocks are to success or what your pain points or your barriers are. So the first skill you need to have with anybody in this kind of scenario is just to listen to them. Are your words and actions matching? Is what you're telling me the same as what you're displaying in terms of what you want to achieve? So first and foremost, I listen. Then I ask those curious questions. So, how have you done that? What's holding you back from doing that? What options have you uncovered and you looked at so far? And then we gradually work backwards in terms of how do we apply that to where your business is? Because it may be that you're just overthinking your business problem that isn't there at all. So, my job's really simple then in terms of uncovering okay, in order for you to be successful or you to do the thing, you just need to kind of take a step back and go, is anybody else that can help me do this? Or have I even asked for help? Am I getting in my own way? Have I allocated enough time to do the thing that I've, putting pressure on myself to do? Or what is the time urgency in what I'm doing? So it's very goal based. What do I want the specific outcome to be? So my
Hmm.
specific outcomes with any session is what do I want to help you achieve by the end of that session, whether it's half an hour, or it's an ongoing thing over 6 months or a year, and how do I want to make you feel? Because that's the important thing with any coaching relationship, with any of the ladies that you've got on the pink sphere. You want people to come along and look forward to and enjoy the thing that they're signing up to do, be a
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
that. I want to
absolutely.
get 1% better every time I see this person.
Absolutely, yeah. And you not only help women who want to start their own businesses, you also help them scale their
Yes.
businesses, right? So how do we know when it's time to scale, and when we should actually just stabilize?
Okay. Well, there's nothing to say that those two things can't happen at the same time. And this is why I always use things like a skills gap or a SWOT, because once you found out where your strengths are, let's say for instance you are working in a business where you charge somebody £100 an hour. This is the easiest way to describe how you scale up a business organically. So you're working in your own business, you charge people £100 an hour for what you do as a service or something that you provide to them. At the point where you are working in the evenings or you're working more than your hours that you would do normally on tasks such as your admin, your finance, your marketing, your social media, that is the point where you need to say to yourself, could I employ somebody to do this role for me, part time, ad hoc, 1 or 2 hours a week, whatever that looks like for you? Because that person wouldn't cost me £100 an hour. So it's the easiest way to recognise that this might be a strength for you. You might love doing your admin or finance, but is it a financially viable thing for me to do this myself, or could I be paying somebody 25 or £30 an hour to do that thing for me, which frees up my time to make more of my £100 an hour? And then when you're at capacity, again, we need to look at how many hours a week do you want to do? How many hours a day do you want to do? If I only want to work 5 hours a day, when my 5 hours a day are filled and I've got somebody doing all of my admin and finance, that's when I potentially need to look at I could get somebody else on to help me do my £100 an hour thing. Then I'm growing my business organically. But it's having the courage and the adaptability and the flexibility to go, I might not need that all in one go at the time. I might not need somebody full time to begin with. And that's okay to be honest with whoever you're talking to when you're growing your business and say, I don't need somebody full time. I just need you 2 hours a week. Because there's lots of people
Yep.
out there, especially women returning to the workplace, women with small families, or who actually might be at the latter stages of their career where they've had a full career for 40 odd years, but they don't want to completely retire, but they've got an enormous amount of skills and knowledge that they can use. And I just want to do that a couple of hours a day. And that's okay too. So there's a raft of people out there that could help you grow your business.
Absolutely. And technology is a big part of it, right? And what do you say to someone who feels like behind on tech but still wants to grow?
Again, that's a skills thing, isn't it? And I would first of all
It
try and
is.
find out what is it about the AI or technology that you need to do in your business? What do you need to accomplish? What would make you more efficient and streamlined in your role? So I would use AI ad hoc, and when I don't know how to use it or I need some help in what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
I go and ask somebody for some help. Could you create me this
Yeah.
document? I think, well, I could either learn how to do the thing, which might take me
Mm-hmm.
ages, and I love learning how to do
Yeah.
new things, but it might take me an enormous amount of time to learn how to do it. Like, for instance, I'm learning how
Yeah.
to use Canva. It's taken me ages, and I know 100% I could go and ask somebody and say, create me the thing on Canva, but I'm having fun with it. So I'm very much, that's
Mm-hmm.
a me thing. I want to do that for myself. But there are so many options out there with people that you can
Yeah.
find. Again, same as you upscaling your business, same as you identifying where your
Mm-hmm.
strengths and weaknesses are. If you need to use something like that for your marketing, for your social media, or just for your day to day, how you do your business, you can either learn how to do it yourself or you can ask somebody, which is the most efficient decision, which is the most cost effective decision. But I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
main takeaway from that is not to be afraid of trying it. There's so many things out there now that didn't exist 2 years ago. And so I think you either got to embrace the fact that it's going to change, and in 2 years' time it's going to look different again. There's going to be new technology or new
Mm-hmm.
things that will help you run your business. So it's about embracing the whole it's going to change. How do I ride the wave of that change to make it work for me?
So the key is asking for help,
Yes.
right? But mostly, perhaps as women more, it's hard to ask for help, especially when you don't have the
Yeah.
budget, right? What your advice would be about, asking for help from someone when you don't have the budget?
Right.
Perhaps, the free discovery calls that all the
Yeah.
coaches have, right? Perhaps those, and what else could be?
Yeah, when it's a hard thing to ask for help, that's a human nature. I just don't like asking for help. The same as I don't like getting a compliment. I don't like it when people are nice to me and you instantly, what they after, what's going on here. So you need to practice, you need to learn how to integrate that into your vocabulary as a thing. So asking for help is a
Mhm.
really easy thing when perhaps going to start really small. I always use the analogy of get 1% better every day. So if you
Yeah.
think you're in terms of on a scale of 1 to 10, my ability to ask for help is a 1. Okay. No, I'm just using this as an example. So what I might do, or I might suggest or encourage somebody to do, go down to your local supermarket, go down the grocery aisle, see somebody that's working down there and say, I can't reach that tin or the box up there. Could you please help me get it down? And we
Hmm.
probably do that
Specific.
anyway, as when we go into shops, we go to places. Have you got the time? Can you help me with directions to here? Do you know where I can find? So we
Hmm.
do it, but we're just not used to using it in a business capacity. So practice just asking for help anyway. Practice
Hmm.
saying your gratitude of saying thank you, because that's the other part of it. People don't like to ask for help because they don't know how to say thank you. They don't know what the
Yeah.
after effect of if I ask you for help, I might not know what to say afterwards. If you say to me, absolutely fine, Kathie, I'm going to give you half a day to sort out your thing, then I'm going to feel really awkward as to how am I going to repay you? How am I going to, give
Yeah,
that
that's
back?
right.
So
Yeah.
I've made it all about me rather than, are you able to help me with this? Have you got an hour or so? La la la. But with no expectation other than if you've not got the time, that's fine. But if you have, being grateful and going, that's amazing. You've really helped me verbalize what you're getting out of the arrangement. And if you can't afford to pay somebody for that service, you set expectations. This is an important thing, is
Yeah,
to go, I
it
can't
is.
afford to pay you for this thing right now. I can give you my time. We can come to some sort of agreement where if you help me do this, I can help you do a thing. I can come and, I don't know, paint your fences, make you a meal, look after your children. Have an exchange of skills or time that works for both of you, but then be appreciative and grateful for what you're giving and receiving backwards out of it.
So we need to ask for help. We need to learn how to ask for help, and we need to know how to say thank you, right? And I also want to know, what's one thing you wish more women would stop doing in their businesses, not in their personal lives, okay, other than saying thank you and asking for help, but what about in their businesses?
Wow, this is a time management thing. I think, especially if you've got children, especially if you've got a partner, and I think how society works at the moment, where generationally there's more women in business now that are looking after children as well as parents. That might be in the same home, or that might be just, where they are. And it's the ability to step back and go, it's perfectly okay to set myself some really good boundaries and have some standards. And my boundaries might be like, today, I just need to do this one thing. And my boundaries are, I need to do this by 5 o'clock today. So if anybody asks me to do anything else, I might say no, just for today, to get this things done. And again, it's about setting the clear expectations that I need to get this thing done today. I'm more than happy to help you do the thing afterwards. I'm more than happy to go shopping, or to my children, let's go to the park afterwards, but I need to do this thing by 3 o'clock today to get it out because it's an important thing. Because you're then role modeling this really good behavior, not only to your children and your family, your friends, and your
Hmm.
customers and your clients, which is what you want to do. So when people come
Yeah.
to you as a business owner and ask you for things to do, Kathie, I can only see, if I've got an hour of time, let's say, for instance, I've given somebody an hour's business coaching at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I will make it very clear that we've got an hour of time together today, and
Hmm.
that 5 or 10 minutes before the end of our session, we'll wrap it up. We'll go through actions. We'll talk about, what happens next time. Let's put a date in the diary for next time. So I'm really clear on where my boundaries are. So there's nothing in that session that I'm going to have with somebody that if they start talking to me about a different problem at 10 to 6, I can absolutely say, we're going to be ending this session in 5 minutes' time. Is this something we can pick up next time? And you have to role model that throughout all of the areas of your life. If you're a business owner and you need to juggle cooking tea with school runs, with looking after children, it's being meticulous with your timekeeping and saying, I'm going to allocate this block of time to do my thing, and that's a non negotiable. I appreciate that we have family issues and things that crop up and happen, but they're quite rare. And you have to look at it and go, well, life happens sometimes, and there's a little bump in the road
It
that
does.
sometimes happens. You've had this recently as well with where you live and what's happening over there. Sometimes that stuff happens and you can't do anything about it. But my normal
Hmm.
default is going to be, I'm going to take the kids to school, I'm going to cook my meal, la la la, I'm going to do my block of work, or I'm going to see my block of clients, but be flexible enough to go, if something crucial happens, that's fine. I'll just adapt with it and not beat myself up about it like I'm a horrible business owner, or why doesn't anybody want to come and use my,
It
because that stuff happens.
does. It does. And you know me, right? I have always told the coaches that we have at the Pink Sphere community that I was only able to work when my kids were down to sleep, you know, and I could never work on a weekend. And because of the time differences that we have, I always had to do things early in the morning for you, for the coaches who are in the UK. So I set my boundaries clear, but there were times when I was really having a struggle with finding the time to make it work. And there were times when I just wanted to quit. I just wanted to end it all because I felt like I needed more time and I didn't have it. And what I was doing, my efforts were not enough, right? So, what do you say for women like me or those who are watching us right now who've been working for months or years for making their startup or their businesses to succeed, if that makes sense, but they've been having struggles? I mean, when is the time to just pause it? When is the time to quit? When do you know it's never going to be a success? Because we're always talking about success and how what steps you should take to make it better. But of course, there are times when you should just stop, right? Isn't there? I don't know. So, what do you think about that? When should we take a step back?
You need to be flexible to do that regardless. And I would say with any of those situations, if you overthink them and at the time when you need a block, if you've got a barrier or a block there that's stopping you getting from that hurdle, I use the analogy of this like, let's say, an invisible wall that's in front of you. At various different points in your career where your knowledge of what you do or your business growth gets to a point where you've hit a brick wall, you have
Mm-hmm.
two options. You either push through the wall, you try and navigate a way around the wall, or you give up and kind of go, do you know what? And that's a perfectly fair and reasonable thing to do, is to go, do you know what? I'm not in the right space, mentally, physically, or anywhere else to tackle this problem today. The wall is still there, regardless of whether you choose to push through it today or not. In order for you to be successful, to reach your goals, what your aspirations are with your business in terms of, do I want to double my turnover? Do I want to achieve this amount of turnover this year or this amount of clients or whatever? That's still there. So it's your job. Well, actually, it's my job as well as your business coach. And this is the whole point we're talking, is to help you navigate how to get round the wall. And again, there's more than one way. You can either push through it, you can climb over it, you can find a way round the side of it, you can dig a tunnel under. There's loads of different ways of navigating how to do that thing. And if you think about, if you go to a playground and there's one of those climbing frame things in the playground and you don't know how to get over the top, you've got a cheerleader of people that are with you saying, we know you can do it, we'll help you, we'll give you a leg
Yeah.
up, I'll hold your hand, I'll climb up the wall with you and help you scale at the other side. Or I'll go over there first and meet you at the top. And it's the same principle. So it's getting the right, surrounding yourself with the right people, getting the right people around you that are positive and that support you. Because the thing that's going to really help you crash and burn and not want to tackle the wall is if you've got people around you that are, well, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. You're not capable of doing that. I've seen you try this before, and and being surrounded by negative energy of people that don't believe in you, that's what you need to remove.
Yeah.
Is actually,
Yeah. And I had
yeah,
that. I had that. Yeah.
yeah.
And it sucks.
It does suck because if you surround yourself with people like that, you start believing it. And that is the worst thing
Mhm.
when I'm working with female business owners. The worst thing is to hear my husband or my partner or whoever don't believe that I can do this, don't believe that I've been successful. So you can either choose to listen to them. You're not in control of what other people think about you or what other people
Mhm.
say to you. You're in control of how you interpret that and what you do with it. So if I've got
Absolutely.
negative
Yeah.
people in my life that, perhaps they're family members or really close friends that say, oh, what are you doing? You're never going to succeed. You're never going to do this. I can choose to listen
Mhm.
to them every day, or I can choose to turn down that big mute dial on what they're saying and go, well, they've not been successful. They've not achieved the thing that I'm looking for. And actually, it makes me more determined to go, I'm going to surround myself, like with all the lovely ladies at the Pink Sphere who are so positive and determined to succeed and help you succeed. Being part of that community, which is, it doesn't occur to any of us that we're going to fail at all. And that's what makes the community so great, is that we all completely
Yeah.
believe and live and breathe that we're all going to be successful and achieve what we want to do.
Yeah. And it's all about that. It's all about the
Yes.
community who pushes you forward, right? And I have one last question for you. Okay. So we talked about failure and success, but what about um, the success beneath the surface? What are some signs that a business is thriving, but beneath the surface, even if it grows or the growth feels slow? Does it make
It,
sense?
it does. I think I know what you mean. It's looking holistically at your business every single day, or what you do every day. We mentioned being consistent, and that's the important thing. So if my business, if I don't have any new clients this week, but I've got up every day, I've still got dressed, I've done my hair, I've looked at my CRM, I've checked my emails, I've written, and I've done the same thing every day, I've been successful. I've been consistent. I've carried on doing the
Yeah.
thing that's going to help me on my path to climb over the wall. Because if you think about this, your successes come in all different forms, shapes, and forms. For me, being successful, or perhaps we have ladies out there that are listening to that today, that the small success for them might be, I got out of bed this morning. I got out of bed this morning and
Yeah.
got dressed. And it might be as something as small,
Yeah.
as insignificant as what we perceive to be insignificant as that. So today, I might listen to this podcast or some of the other podcasts, and I might, rather than sitting on the sofa listening to what's being said, I might think, do you know what? I'm going to go out today and write down a list of all my strengths and think of some business ideas, or think about
Yeah.
how I can ask for help, or think about who I can help me get over the wall, or perhaps I'm going to identify a couple of negative people in my life and dial them down and think, well, I'm going to not listen to that. I'm not going to entertain that today. So that is a success. So it's
It's basically depends on your definition of success.
100%. And this is really, in the business mentoring or coaching world, I rely heavily on the interpretation of language. And success to one person means something completely different to somebody else. Success for me is my alarm goes off every morning at 6 o'clock and I actually get up at 6 o'clock rather than I press snooze for 5 minutes. So if I do that 2 or 3 days in a row, I think that's successful to me. I've I've been consistent, which is a really tiny thing, and it's nothing to do with if I've got 10 new clients or I've written a blog, or it's a really small thing. But to somebody else, their ability to win, X amount of business, that might be at the top scale of their success rating. So look at it on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you want to be successful today in all the things that we've just talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to know if you have just one final tip or advice or anything at all that you want to share with those who are listening to us. What would that be?
Take some inspiration from a bunch of amazing women who are all here to help you. We're all here to give you advice and guidance and share our time and our knowledge and our skills with you. So if you've watched any of these, or you've been looking at the Pink Sphere content and you just want to reach out and ask a question, even if it's like, I want to follow up on that, or I want to ask you a quick question about that, do that thing.
Yeah.
Be 1% better than you were yesterday. Do something 1% different today than you did yesterday.
Wow. Thank you,
It's
Katie.
okay.
And that's a wrap on this week's 30 Minutes of Pink. Big thanks to Katie for keeping it honest and giving us permission to build in a way that actually works for us. If this conversation hit home, head to pinksphere.com where you'll find the kind of support, tools, and coaches that don't talk down to you. Follow the podcast, pass this along to a woman who's building something brave, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.